Hello students, so in our previous lecture we have discussed about external genitalia, and if you have literally understood and learned about external genitalia, you will be able to visualize and to understand the lateral view of reproductive system, lateral view of female reproductive system. So in this lecture, first we are going to cover the lateral view diagram, then I will be telling you about mammary gland and disorders of female reproductive system. So let me make the previous lecture we have started with front view, in which there was in center uterus, the fundus of uterus, and on the sideline there was fallopian tube, something like this. Here I am going to start with lateral view of female reproductive section, and let me make okay, I had told you something as labia minora. This is something which we call labia minora. Let me mention it, labia minora here. Please, you are looking at the lateral side. The previous diagram was from the frontal side. Anterior part of labia minora get fused and make a structure. What is the structure formed by the anterior fusion of labia minora? We call that clitoris. And on the posterior part, it make a, yes please, fourchette, right? In the center here, there is an opening. And what is the name of that opening? In the center, the mid-center opening is vaginal orifice or urethral orifice. That is vaginal orifice. So this is vaginal orifice. This canal obviously should be the vaginal canal. It is, I told you, does not have any gland lined by non-keratinized stratified epithelium. And this vaginal canal, before opening in the cervix, dilates something like this. So there is a dilation in the posterior part of vaginal canal, and this structure here, let's say, is cervix. Next to vaginal canal, there would be cervical canal. I am making it like this, and this cervical canal would eventually continue into a inverted P-like structure. What is that? So this is uterus, and here, let's say these are the fallopian tube which are like this. Here these are the fallopian tube which are like this, and on the side wall of uterus there would be certain ligament, and they have been holding ovary in position. So from the side view, this would be the diagram here. On the anterior side there is another opening, and what is the name of this opening? Yes please, this is urethral orifice, and this structure here should be urethra. And I told you female urethra is very short, about 4 cm in length as well, and female urethra does not have partition like male urethra, and this eventually would open into a sac-like structure. What would be the name of this structure? Yes please, this should be, sir, urinary bladder. I will love to mention here, male are having both the sphincter very developed. The internal sphincter and external sphincter of urinary bladder is very well developed in case of male, but in female only internal sphincter is well developed. In case of female, only external sphincter is well developed and internal sphincter is not that much developed. Let it be, we are not discussing that thing here. Alright, this structure here, outside labia minora, there are certain more fold. And what should be the name of this structure here? Yes please, this structure should be known as labia majora, I guess. So this is labia majora. Next to labia majora is labia minora. This is clitoris. This is vaginal opening or vaginal orifice, which is partially covered by a membrane called as hymen. This here is urethral orifice. Okay. Let's say this here is urinary bladder. Urinary bladder. This is urethra, that's vaginal canal, that is cervix, no fun in telling, this is uterus, that is fallopian tube, and this here is ovary. On the anterior side, let's say this here is pubic, this here is the partition which is having the pubic bone in it, or this is the pubic symphysis side. Let's say I am making here this structure as pubic bone. or in certain book they have also mentioned it as pubic symphysis. Pubic bone. And this structure here is, let's say, anus. And what should be next to anus? What opening anus? Yes, please. Rectum. And rectum is the extension of colonic part. So that is the intestinal part. Let's say that colon. And here is vertebral column area. Let's say these are the vertebrae which has been visible here. This vertebra is the lower back vertebra. Let's call that sacrum. And this vertebra here is tail. What we call that? Coccygeal. Coccyx. And this area here is fourchette. There is no fun in telling that this area here is. This is fourchette here, and this area here is perineal area or perineum area. This is anus here. So student, when we look at the front view, that is very easy to remember. But when we look on the lateral side, after learning the structure of exogenitalia, you can only visualize labia minora. Next to labia minora is labia majora. Anterior side fused with clitoris. Posterior side make fourchette. Fourchette to anus is perineal area. Mid is vaginal orifice. Anterior is urethral orifice. Unib bladder. Vagina followed by cervix followed by uterus. Fallopian tube and ovary. Pubic symphysis and vertebral column. Is that clear? In board exam, they might ask you about this diagram as well. But again, I repeat, in order to understand, in order to make this diagram, you should be very clear about vulva structure, about female external genitalia structure, which we have discussed earlier on. There is no fun in telling that next to it there should be some part here which we call non-pubis. Is that clear? Anyways, mons pubis would be yes. Now we have to study the structure of mammary gland. So next topic, or the last part of female anatomy of female reproductive system, is mammary gland, and mammary gland would be followed by certain disorders which are present, which are found normally in female reproductive system. So first let me start with concept of mammary gland, or we don't have to learn any concept here actually. We only have to learn a diagram, and we have to learn different features in that diagram. The very first statement, mammary gland are modified sweat gland. They are modified sweat gland. Sweat stands for sudoriferous. Sudoriferous gland or sudoriferous gland. Or in bracket I am mentioning sweat. Mammary gland is a characteristic feature of all mammals. Even male also have mammary gland, but they are not very developed in males. So in case of males, mammary gland are rudimentary, and in case of females, they keep on developing under different stages of life. The major development of mammary gland is controlled by progesterone and estrogen. Milk production is controlled by prolactin, and milk ejection will be controlled by oxytocin. I will be telling you these things. By definition, these are two round prominences present over the pectoralis major muscle. So by definition, mammary gland are two rounded prominence, two rounded structure, prominence meant for located over pectoralis major muscle of chest. Let me make a diagram here, and I will be telling you what is pectoralis major muscle. So the individual is, the female is standing like this, and I will be starting diagram from the dorsal side and coming to the anterior side. On the dorsal side, let's say these are the ribs which are present like this. No fun in telling the number of ribs here. And the special muscles which are present between ribs. What is the name of these muscles? For this we use the term costal. The costal area is the area which is related with ribs, and the muscles which are present within ribs are referred as to intercostal muscles. You must have learned about external intercostal muscle and internal intercostal muscle, and these are ribs here. Next to rib, this area here is pectoralis major muscle. Next to it, this area here is pectoralis major muscle. Pectoralis major and pectoralis major muscle. And from pectoralis major muscle arises two round prominence. I am making one round prominence here, other structure would be like this. So this is round prominence which has been arising from pectoralis major muscle, and that round prominence, let me make it little bit larger like this, and on the anterior side that round prominence would be having a perforated structure, and that perforated structure is known as nipple, and the diameter of these pores is about 0.5 mm only. So a round prominence which is located over pectoralis major muscle is present as is known as mammary gland, also present in males but not very well developed. Internally, the mammary gland, they consist of, when we go on the internal structure, the first thing, it consists of 15 to 20 mammary lobes. So internal division of mammary gland is that there are about 15 to 20 mammary lobes present inside. Like testis was having how many lobules? 250 lobules. Exact number. Exact number of mammary lobes in each mammary gland is 15 to 20. Again, I will be making 2-3 mammary lobes here. Let's say this one is a mammary lobe, goes like this. Other mammary lobe goes like this. And that is the third mammary lobe. It goes like this. You got my point? And this here obviously is the outer region. Mammary lobes, inside mammary lobes are present. See, mammary lobes is having a lot of fibrous connective tissue along with a lot of adipose connective tissue. So a lot of fibrous connective tissue and a lot of adipose connective tissue is present between the lobes, which keep the lobes in position. So these lobes would be covered by fibrous connective tissue as well as adipose connective tissue. Let us make adipose connective tissue in green color. So these are the adipose mass which is present like this here. Adipose mass is also present between the lobules as well. Makes a sense? So second part of mammary gland would be that they consist of fibrous and adipose connective tissue. Third, mammary gland also consists of glandular or secretory structure, tubulo-glandular or secretory structure, which are like sac, and we called mammary alveoli. So inside each lobule there are present numerous tubulo-secretory structure, and these tubulo-secretory structures are grape-like, and these grape-like structures are known as mammary alveoli. So these alveoli, they are numerous. When the number come of alveoli, it is in millions. So I am not making millions here, I am just making few here. So let's say these are the alveoli, the secretory structure which is present inside mammary gland. Is that clear? Between these alveoli, there are also present certain fibrous connective tissue which also hold the alveoli in position. The mammary alveoli are also suspended by certain fibrous connective tissue which hold mammary alveoli in position. From each mammary alveoli arises a duct. From each mammary alveoli arises a duct, and that duct is known as mammary tubule. I repeat, from each mammary alveoli arises mammary tubule, and these mammary tubule, they join like this. For example, this is the structure which has been formed by the joining of mammary tubule. All the mammary tubules are joined with each other. You got my point? So, from mammary alveoli arises mammary tubule, and these mammary tubule after joining with each other, make a common duct, and let's call that this duct. Let me make this duct in green color. This duct here, which is formed by the joining of mammary tubule, this duct is known as mammary duct. So first there would be tubule, then there would be mammary duct. How many mammary duct would be present in one mammary gland? The number would be about 15 to 20. So from each lobe arises one mammary duct. And mammary duct is formed by the fusion of, by the joining of which tubule? Mammary tubule. And these mammary duct, before opening outside into nipple, they dilate something like this. So these mammary duct, they dilate, each mammary duct dilates something like this, and this dilated part is known as mammary ampulla. Mammary ampulla, or you have learned a word, a open space which is fluid filled, we call that sinus, and that space is filled by blood, that space is filled by milk, we call that lactiferous sinuses. And from each so how many lactiferous sinus would be present inside a mammary gland? Again the number goes about 15 to 20 lactiferous sinus would be also present here. And each lactiferous sinus open outside via a duct. And this duct which arises from lactiferous sinus, we call that lactiferous duct. We call that lactiferous duct. We will be making a quick revision of duct system, don't worry. Adipose tissue is present between the lobes, as well as adipose tissue also line the outer surface of mammary gland like this. This adipose tissue present on the outer surface of mammary gland determine the size of mammary gland. So more the adipose tissue, larger would be the size of mammary gland. And these ducts here are also supported by adipose tissue as well as certain fibers. So fibrous tissue and adipose tissue is present, is supporting the duct system, as well as it is supporting the lobular system, that is present between the lobes, and they are present between the ducts here. You got my point? On a quick revision, inside mammary lobules there are present about 15 to 20 mammary lobes. Each mammary lobe is having a grape-like structure which is tubular and secretory in nature. We call that alveoli, the actual site of milk formation. From alveoli arises mammary duct. From alveoli arises mammary tubule. Tubule combine together make duct. Duct dilate make lactiferous sinus, and lactiferous sinus open outside via lactiferous duct. This structure here, highly perforated structure, is known as nipple. And what is the size of that pore? 0.5 mm only. And on the sides of nipple, there is a dark pigmented area which is present here and there. This dark pigmented area consists of, certain circular muscle, certain nerve fiber, as well as certain pigment, and certain oil glands are also present. So this dark pigmented area is known as areola, and whatever glands are present, whatever modified oil glands are present there, we call it areolar gland. So let me take one alveoli from here and let me make one alveoli here. And you will be telling me the route of milk flow from alveoli to outside, right? Let's say this is one alveoli here. What is the color of alveoli? Okay, blue. That is an alveoli here, and it is lined by special cells which are secretory in nature, and these are cuboidal cells to be very exact. From alveoli arises ducts, and which duct are these? From alveoli which duct arise? Mammary tubule. This mammary tubule combine with the mammary tubule of other one and make a common duct here. The common duct which is formed by the combination of mammary tubules, what do we call that? This duct is mammary duct, and this duct before opening outside dilates. What is the name? Lactiferous sinus, and this duct is lactiferous duct, and this opening is, it opens outside in the nipple. Is that clear? It is as simple as it is. Between the ducts there are present areolar tissue and certain fiber, and fibers are also present between the alveoli as well as between the lobes. Areolar tissue, adipose tissue is also present between the lobes. A special type of cell which line, special type of muscle fiber which line each alveoli, these muscle fibers are known as myoepithelial cell. Myoepithelial cell. And under the influence of oxytocin, these myoepithelial cells undergo constriction and they squeeze the alveoli. So milk has been forced outside. Okay, one more thing. The development of mammary gland is under the influence of two hormones. Two hormones got all the credit. One hormone is progesterone and other hormone is estrogen. So under the influence of estrogen and progesterone, more alveoli got developed, more adipose tissue get accumulated, more fibrous structure are developed, and mammary gland is developed. Simply, right? Under the influence of hormone prolactin. See, prolactin का कंसेप्ट भी याद रखेंगे. प्रोलैक्टिन बनाता है बेटा एंटीरियर पिट्यूटरी. वो हाइपोथैलेमस से दो हार्मोन आते रहते हैं. एक प्रोलैक्टिन रिलीजिंग हार्मोन है और एक प्रोलैक्टिन इनहिबिटिंग हार्मोन है. जो प्रोलैक्टिन इनहिबिटिंग हार्मोन है वो ट्यूबेरो इनफंडिबुलर न्यूरॉन बनाती है हाइपोथैलेमस में, और इसका दूसरा नाम होता है डोपामीन. और मेजॉरिटी ऑफ टाइम पर यही हार्मोन डोमिनेट रहता है. So why non pregnant woman is not making milk? Answer is it is under the influence of PIH, prolactin inhibiting hormone. खैर, 5th week of pregnancy से PIH का लेवल बढ़ना शुरू हो जाता है. ये इनहिबिट हो जाएगा, प्रोलैक्टिन आना शुरू हो जाएगा, and prolactin act on these cells, and these cells eventually start making milk. So which hormone is known as milk producing hormone? Answer is prolactin. Is that clear? Then from posterior pituitary, again this hormone is formed by hypothalamus and stored in posterior pituitary. A 9 amino acid hormone, we call that nonapeptide. The name of hormone is oxytocin. Under the influence of oxytocin, this oxytocin come and act on these myoepithelial cells, and these myoepithelial cells start contracting and milk has been squeezed outside. It is temporarily stored here and eventually it has been squeezed outside. So lactation of breastfeeding mainly depend on the psychic state of mother, and we call that process as let down process. Under the influence of oxytocin, mother has been secreting milk or has been ejecting milk. Milk producing hormone is prolactin. Milk ejecting hormone is oxytocin. Milk producing or secretion and producing is the same one, right? All right. Coming very quick composition of milk. Well, this topic would be I have included in lactation as well, but for a quick revision, जब composition of human milk की बात करेंगे, प्रोटीन कौन सा होगा? केसीन, शुगर, लैक्टोज, खूब सारे मिनरल्स. क्या नहीं होगा? It consists of a lot of magnesium, a lot of calcium, a lot of phosphorus, whatever minerals has been required. क्या नहीं होगा? It is very low in iron. Majority of vitamins are present. It is very low in vitamin C. So vitamin C content and iron content is low. Fat content is also there. Milk normally consists of fat, but later in the later stage, initial stage में fat वगैरह नहीं होता है. I have included that in lactation lecture. There is a peptide which is known as milk inhibitory peptide. और अगर मेमरी ग्लैंड कंप्लीटली एम्प्टी नहीं होते हैं तो ये मिल्क इनहिबिटरी पेप्टाइड एक्युमुलेट होना शुरू हो जाता है और प्रोलैक्टिन के इफेक्ट को बंद कर देता है. तो इफ मेमरी ग्लैंड इज नॉट फुल्ली एम्प्टीड अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ मिल्क इनहिबिटरी पेप्टाइड, मिल्क प्रोडक्शन इज रिड्यूस्ड. तो दैट इज अबाउट बच्चे अबाउट द मेमरी ग्लैंड. इज दैट क्लियर? Size of mammary gland depends upon the deposition of adipose tissue. Mastitis is a common term which is referred with the inflammation of mammary gland. Mastitis is the inflammation of mammary gland. Hypomastria, when the size of mammary gland is smaller than the normal one, and hypermastria, when the size of mammary gland is large. The overdevelopment of mammary gland and underdevelopment of mammary gland is hypomastria and hypermastria. And in case of that ruminants, those are milk lactating animal. Let's talk about cow, let's talk about buffalo. The other word for mammary gland is udder. तो कई बार क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया जाता है इन्फ्लेमेशन इन द mammary gland is cow, in the udder of cow is known as, answer is mastitis. Inflammation in the udder of buffalo and cow is mastitis. So this was about mammary gland, and the last part here, then we are going to start gametogenesis. So what else we have to study? After that there would be a lecture of gametogenesis followed with the structure of sperm and ovum, a lecture on menstrual cycle, and eventually we will be learning fertilization. So I hope for before the due date our remaining topics would be completed. Disorders of female reproductive system. Right, the first one is endometriitis. आइटिस जहां भी प्रीफिक्स, जहां भी सफिक्स लग जाता है, जिस वर्ड के आगे भी आइटिस लगेगा, आई हैव टोल्ड यू मेनी टाइम्स, इट इज रेफर्ड एज टू इन्फ्लेमेशन. So a simple inflammation of endometrium is endometriitis. There are certain infection which can cause endometriitis. One of the common one is that pathogen of tuberculosis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, can even result in uterine tuberculosis, where that is the inflammation of endometrium. Inflamed endometrium is endometriitis, whatever the reason is. Then a term which I really want to learn, इसमें सबसे ज्यादा कंफ्यूजन होता है, we called it endometriosis. और बच्चे endometriosis is the overgrowth, overproliferation of endometrium. Generally endometrium is confined to which area? Endometrium is only and only confined to uterus. If endometrium is overproliferated, sometimes endometrium lining are also present over urinary bladder, or it goes to ovaries, it goes to fallopian tube, it comes to cervix. All those conditions are known as endometriitis. So overproliferated endometrium in the tubal part, in the ovary, in the bladder, in the cervix, we call that endometriitis. Then one more disorder you had discussed it many times, ectopic pregnancy. अगर इम्प्लांटेशन अपनी साइट के अलावा और यूट्रस के अलावा कहीं और होता है, उसको बोलते हैं एक्टोपिक प्रेगनेंसी. इम्प्लांटेशन आउटसाइड यूट्रस, सिंपली आई विल से इम्प्लांटेशन एट एबनॉर्मल साइट, इम्प्लांटेशन एट एबनॉर्मल साइट आउटसाइड यूट्रस. Most commonly it is fallopian tube, it could be internal OS, it could be ovaries as well. Then can endometriitis could be present over myometrium? Answer is yes. It is present over periometrium? Answer is yes. One of my friends was discussing with me one day, that Anjali Rao from Rewari. Yes, endometriitis could be over periometrium as well. Next, fourth word, opholoitis. Opholos is the word for ovary. Inflamed ovary is opholoitis. Generally result in lower back pain. Ophocystosis. Other word for ophocystosis is ovarian cyst. Cyst का मतलब होता है a mass of abnormal cell. These mass of abnormal cell could be from the follicular cell, could be from the stromal cell, could be the developing follicle, could be some part of germinal epithelium, whatsoever. So if an abnormal mass of cell is accumulating, that also result in lower back pain, also result in sometimes in the pelvic region pain, and that condition is known as ophocystosis, and that mainly affect fertility, right? The normal ovulation and all the thing. Then what else condition we can include here? Endometriosis, endometriitis, ectopic pregnancy, opholoitis, ophocystosis. Cancers, genital cancers are common in female. It could be cancer of breast. Generally do not occur before 30 years due to controlled secretion of progesterone and estrogen. or sensitivity of a body cell. It could be cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is mainly diagnosed by a test which we call smear test. Let's call that pap smear test. So a slide would be found. We call that histopathological study. Biopsy would be done. A slide would be formed of tissue and would be observed under microscope. A slide would be formed of tissues and would be observed under microscope. Then there could be vaginal cancer. There could be uterine cancer. There could be rectal cancer or whatsoever. We will be learning that in our human health and disease chapter. So students, these are the common terms which has been related with the these are the common disorders which are related with female reproductive system. Is that clear? I hope this makes sense, and this is all about the anatomy of female reproductive system. Now in our next lecture we are going to start about gametogenesis with the structure of sperm and structure of ovum. Thank you. Please stay safe. Please make your notes. Please keep revising things. Wish you very good luck. Thank you.